We are back with an update on the Cavs, and we are still in the Cavs jacket, even though their most recent result was a loss to the 76ers, breaking their 9-game winning streak, although we still have it on because I didn't mention those. I didn't get around to talking about the 2 wins to get to 9 games against the Nets and the Raptors, featuring a couple of Cavalanches. And even though they did lose to the 76ers, I felt like that game for the Cavs didn't necessarily go all that bad, and we'll certainly get into that in this video. But first, we do have a little bit of a Cavs roster update, some roster news to start the video off. The last time I talked about the Cavs, there was maybe some inklings about a Caris LeVert trade, although that did not happen. There were no moves from the Cavs for this NBA deadline. They stayed put with their group, which makes a whole lot of sense given that what they've been doing on the court. No real reason to break up what's been working for them so far, and they don't really have the draft capital because of the Donovan Mitchell trade to really go out and get a huge piece that would be anything more than a lateral move for the Cavs at this point. But Cleveland does have a new player on the NBA roster, Zhaire Smith of the Canton Charge, and down with the G League. He's been given a 10-day contract. I don't think he'll probably see the floor all that much. This is just someone that the Cavs used to get that 14th roster spot filled before that opportunity went away. I mean, Zhaire Smith didn't play in their most recent game against Philadelphia. He started in all 16 games that he played with Canton, averaging 34 minutes a game, as well as 13 points, shooting 56.5% overall, including 45% from 3, although he only shoots about 3 attempts per game from beyond the arc. 4.5 rebounds, 2 assists, and about a steal and a block per game. So definitely been doing some pretty good work with the Canton Charge. He hadn't been in the NBA in any capacity for the past few years, dealt with injury and some allergic reactions in his early career. He was a mid-first round pick in 2018 out of Texas Tech, but once again, I wouldn't anticipate too much from him besides maybe getting some minutes in some blowouts and doing some mop-up duty. But it is nice to see him getting any time in the NBA, getting any look at all, even if it is just for a 10-day cup of coffee after what his early career looked like for him. So what else is pretty cool for the Cavs is kind of the role they're on right now, even though that did take a bit of a hit last night, losing to the 76ers. Again, an undermanned 76ers too, without Joel Embiid and a couple other starters. I don't necessarily think that the Cavs even had a bad game either in this one, and I think this is just one where you have to kind of tip your cap to Buddy Hield, Maxey, Kelly Oubre Jr. as well. Ricky Council for the 76ers showed up in the clutch, even though he didn't have the best game overall, but late in that fourth quarter when they needed him to knock down a couple of big free throws, he was able to hit them against the Cleveland crowd. Paul Reed having a great defensive play against Donovan Mitchell at the end of the game, blocking Mitchell's drive, even though Donovan did have the option of a floater available to him, but a great defensive play by Paul Reed in his own right, of course. I mean, the Cavs defense, they certainly allowed some open looks that you'd rather them not allow, but Philadelphia was hitting their open looks, hitting their contested looks, hitting shots late in the shot clock, shots early in the shot clock. Late in that fourth quarter, Kelly Oubre had a shot that was way too early in the shot clock for what the 76ers were trying to do, which was drain the clock and maintain their lead, which I thought, all right, the Cavs are going to get a chance to maybe cut into the deficit here, but Kelly Oubre ended up making that shot anyway, even though it was a really badly timed shot. He just made it anyway. That's the kind of game that the 76ers were having, where just everything they shot went in. And there were times when the Cavs defense, they try to force teams into some bad shots, and sometimes that works. It just so happened that Philadelphia was able to make those tough shots and some of those contested shots. They were just shooting the ball really well, kind of shot the lights out of the arena. On the Cavs side of things, again, I don't necessarily think it was a bad game overall. Both Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley had double-doubles. Evan in his own right had 4 blocks and 2 steals. Donovan Mitchell played pretty darn well again, fueling the late comeback. You did have Garland missing the potential game-winning three-pointer, although he did have 9 assists, and I feel like he had some of his best passing plays of the season in this game. And honestly, Darius Garland had a solid game. It wasn't perfect by any means, but I think it is a step in the right direction from what we've been seeing these past couple of games where he had some shaky performances. This was a solid night. I feel like people just who are just dogging on Darius Garland for the performance he had against Philadelphia probably were disposed to not wanting Darius Garland on the team anyways. I feel like overall this was fine. Obviously, you would much rather him have made that 3-point shot at the end, but I guess that's on the whole entire team to make it so that you don't have to get to that point in the first place. Although maybe you would want some more from the bench if you're the Cavs. Niang had an off night against his former team. Caris LeVert didn't shoot the ball all that well, but he had 6 assists and did a decent job moving it. But as far as his scoring goes, it was definitely an off night for him. There was obviously no Dean Wade in this one. They might have missed his defensive efforts, but given what Philadelphia was dealing with as far as their injury situation, not really a solid enough reason for the Cavs to not pull out a W in this one. Sam Merrill only got 9 minutes. A bit strange considering how much of a shooting night it was for both teams. You figured that you would want arguably your best three-point shooter playing a little bit more, but I guess Bickerstaff had different ideas. There was a sequence in the fourth quarter that kind of, maybe not necessarily doomed the Cavs because they did come back from this, but it kind of was exemplary of the Cavs putting themselves in a bit of a hole that they had to dig themselves out of. They had narrowed the lead down to 2 points. This wasn't at the end of the game. I believe the score was 104 to 106. Then you have Buddy Hield making a three. Again, it just he was on fire all night, even though he did foul out. He had a really good game. But then Mobley and Strus, they misconnect on a pass for a half-court violation, and then Strus flung the ball down the court for a delay of game, and then got hit with a technical for arguing the call. So the 76ers hit a couple of free throws, and then Buddy Hield makes another three, and then suddenly they went from being down just 2 points to 9 points, and stuff like that. That is what Philly made them pay for throughout the game, and in a close game like that, those kind of sequences could be the difference between a win and a loss, or at least the difference between needing to rely on a Darius Garland corner three at the buzzer for a win in those situations. For the Cavs, they do have one more game before the All-Star break tomorrow against the Bulls in Cleveland. And this loss to the 76ers, I'm not going to freak out about it too much because this won't kill them. They're still second in the East. They're still very, very comfortable as far as, being able to make the playoffs and everything. Obviously, I don't think this puts them in jeopardy of any kind of like epic free fall for the Cavs or anything, but I do feel like there's a little bit of this team isn't going to get wins against real teams come crunch time. There was some of that in the back half of last season as well after the All-Star break, but I do feel like over the course of this stretch where the Cavs have won 16 of their last 18 or whatever the number is, they have taken down some good teams, right? Like the Milwaukee Bucks, both with and without Giannis in those games. They have won games against good teams, but I do feel like there is a little bit of some flashbacks to last season where the Cavs racked up a lot of wins in the second half against some not great opponents, and then when the real teams came to play, there would be a little bit of turtling up, and we saw that in the playoffs last year when they played against the Knicks, against a team that was equal to their talent level and ready to play. Like Jared Allen said, that when that meme went around, the lights were too bright for them. So hopefully that doesn't happen again with the Cavs this year. But again, this one loss isn't necessarily sending me into a spiral. It just kind of makes me feel like this might be something more to look at than something to get panicked about. Maybe keep an eye on it for the second half of the season. But again, they have beaten some good teams on this good stretch that they've had lately. It's just that this might be something to keep an eye on for later down in the season. But that's going to be it for me in this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you didn't make it this far anyway, you can let me know how you feel about the Cavs and their recent play down in the comments below. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you at the next one.